Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and my next guest is now a UFC fighter. Got a contract on Dana White's Contender Series last week. It's Zach Reese joining me again. How's it going, Zach?
Thanks for having me, Curtis. I'm doing good.
Absolutely, man. Well, first things first. I mean, obviously, it's probably been a whirlwind for you over the last 6 days, and we talked about your story leading up to the fight in our last interview. Just kind of talk to me about what's going on through your mind and how much this whole opportunity means to you.
Yeah, man. It was a hell of a trip. It's definitely one I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Yeah, it was surreal. It's the first time I've been to Vegas even. So, yeah, just go out there and be able to perform like that. It feels amazing.
When you look at the way you performed and how things played out with Dana White announcing that, that you're a UFC fighter and all that, I'm sure that's a moment that you've at least thought about for a long time. I mean, just kind of talk to me, like, what was going through your mind when he announced that you're a UFC fighter, that you got the contract? I mean, just kind of give me some insight to what was going on there.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was just absolutely elated. I figured I had it with the 1 minute finish, and I was like, you visualize these fights and how they play out and stuff, and I didn't know what to expect, but yeah, just a surreal moment.
When you talk about the fight itself, you mentioned in lead up to it that you wanted to show off your striking a little bit more on this one, and there was a lot of talk of it being kind of like a striker grappler matchup, but you get that sneaky armbar submission and you have that great work off your back. Just kind of talk to me a little bit about the performance itself. Like, did the fight play out in terms of how you envisioned it, or did you have to make a bunch of adjustments, or how did that all play out?
I don't really envision the fights a ton, to be honest, either, because they never really go the way you're expecting to, and I try to just be like super present and super in the moment, and I feel like I've really found like a mental space to perform well. And I think that's why we're getting these quick finishes. I'm just kind of fluid in the moment. I'm not trying to force anything. And yeah, sneaky's a great way to describe it, man. I'm a good grappler. Jiu-jitsu is what I started with. I'm a well-rounded guy. Um, but yeah, I thought it was going to be more of a striker versus grappler. I thought he was going to try to push me against the cage, try to grind on me a bit and get a takedown. He wrist rides a lot, so I figured, we did so much about, how to counter that. And that was a lot of the grappling too, of not necessarily being in a rush to get up, but being offensive with strikes and with jiu-jitsu, and hell, worked out.
Do you feel like some fighters kind of fall into a trap of expecting a fight to go out a certain way and not being able to make those mid-fight adjustments and on the fly like that? Like, it feels like with your style, and how balanced you are, you're able to make those adjustments. Like, do you feel like some fighters aren't able to pull the trigger when they get into situations like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's something you see in a lot of amateur fights and like low level pros. And I know because I've been guilty of it, right? You're over here trying to force stuff. You kind of have things you have planned out in your head. And it's like dancing with a girl, right? It's a give and take, right? You kind of got to feel what she's doing and then what you're doing. And you can't just force it. So yeah, absolutely. I think guys at the lower level try to force things too much for sure.
Over the past couple of years, like, who do you feel like has really impacted you in terms of your grappling? Like, what do you feel like are some of the biggest reasons that you've improved so much with that element of your game?
Yeah, my coach Adam Copley, man. Uh, when I first went over to Ward a couple years ago, he's leveled up my grappling so much. He has such a sharp mind for fighting. Like, really, in all my years of training and stuff, man, he really understands fighting, and he really understands how to take things for certain fighters, and doesn't try to cookie cut us all into one thing, but is very I mean, I wish I could share the notes that he gives me for training and practices, and then the opponents and what things we need to work on, and it's literally paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff, man. He's yeah, a savant for sure.
There was so much going on at the Apex with all the interviews, the media afterwards, and all that stuff. But did you get some one-on-one conversation with Dana White afterwards? And if so, what can you tell us about that conversation?
Yeah, I had like a 30-second conversation with Dana. It's funny, there's this little clip that's been going around like TikTok and Instagram on the reels where he's like, all these guys out here. Uh, he basically says like, there's so many pussies out here, but if you're just a fucking savage and you work hard and you want something, you can just run through these motherfuckers. And I told him that. I was like, man, I listened to that. That fucking resonated with me. And yeah, I was not going to let this opportunity. I grabbed it with two hands.
Do you feel like your style really resonates with the fans too? Because obviously, we didn't get to see a lot of your striking in this one, but obviously with how balanced you are and especially coming off of this performance, like, do you feel like your style is something that the fans are really going to gravitate towards?
Yeah, I do. My style is kill or be killed for sure, man. I go out there and it's just, I try to. We've toned it back a lot, the aggression, but it's technical, it's smart aggression, and just yeah, I'm constantly looking for finishes. I don't go into these fights looking for points, thinking about a decision, or I go in and I'm thinking, okay, how can we win every position and look for finishes.
What was your family's reaction to your performance and how things played out?
Yeah, they were just elated. You know what I mean? My dad, I don't know if he's ever been that proud of me. It was I was so happy my parents were there and got to see it, and my wife was there and my father-in-law. But yeah, and my wife was like, she was like, really, another quick finish, because. But yeah, she knows me better than anyone, so it's actually funny, man. Like she doesn't even get nervous for the fights or nothing. She's cool as a cucumber. So
Does your family usually attend your fights? Because I know some fighters prefer that their family, kind of stays away from that element of their life. Like, does your family usually attend all your fights?
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, my dad's already looking up like what are the flights going to be to Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, and New York City. He's already looking for flights and stuff. So yeah, they're around for all of it, and I love them around for all of it. My wife actually, she my amateur like my first couple pro fights and then my amateur fights that I had a lot of them in Arkansas. I'd have her in the back, and yeah, she's I every time I cut weight with just my wife. It's so yeah, I love having them around for it. I love that we get to share this stuff, and I can't wait for my little girl to get a little older and she can start remembering this stuff and being a part of it too.
What is it like cutting weight together like that? Because I feel like that's not really something that's talked about too much in MMA or experienced that much in MMA. Like, what is that like in terms of you and your wife cutting weight together?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna film it next time. I filmed not this fight, but the previous weight cut, kind of like pretty much through the whole process because as a fighter, I love watching weight cut stuff while I'm cutting weight. So I know there's a lot of other fighters out there that just like to pick people's brains because a lot of gyms, it's still a lot of bro science. You have a lot of guys like really suffering through these weight cuts and the stuff I've picked up, from and I follow my coach. He thinks I follow him to a T. I follow him pretty much to a T. I do my own little stuff here and there, but picking up stuff from like guys like Jordan Sullivan and like George Lockhart and Mike Dolce and just stuff I picked up over the years. But yeah, my weight cuts are good, man. For this fight, I only did about 40 minutes of sweating in total. Now, yeah, in total, and so we really have figured out a way to minimize the suck and the suffer. I don't hit pads through my weight cuts. I feel like it's not the smartest thing, right? Your body's low on glycogen. To actually start sweating, you have to fire those muscles up and create that reaction that's happening, and that builds to build the heat, to build the body heat, so your body sweats to try to cool you off. I do it in a bathtub, chill. We watch some TV shows or whatever, and just kick it. So
You're joining the middleweight division right now at a perfect time, man. Obviously, there's so many exciting potential fights pretty much from top to bottom, even guys that aren't even in necessarily the top 15. Like when you look at the division itself, who are some guys that you look at and you not necessarily have beef with them or anything like that, but you look at them and say like, hey, that's somebody I'd really like to test myself against.
all of them, yeah, all of them. I know initially it's going to be guys with like similar records to me, but the fights that really excite me are the guys that I look up to and I watch a lot of footage on and um, yeah, the older guard of the middleweight division, man. I mean, there's so many. I mean, it would be just awesome to fight guys that I've watched. So yeah, anybody though, I'll fight anyone.
Who are some of those guys that you've watched the most?
Okay, so my dream fight, he's out of the UFC now though. But if Darren Till ever comes back to the UFC,
Mm.
Darren Till is. I watched so much Darren Till footage. Like, if someone ever needed a sparring partner to fight Darren Till, I could do a damn good impression. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, he's won. I lost to one guy as an amateur, so I'll try to earn my way back to that one for sure.
And obviously, just a few days removed from this one, but I gotta ask you, like, have there been any talks yet in terms of when you could potentially make your UFC debut, and what's kind of your timeline as of right now?
I'd like to do a couple months. They got something I'm kind of nursing right now, something I'm dealing with, so nothing too major or anything. But yeah, a couple months would be awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, Zach, before we wrap things up here, I want to give you the floor to shout out your family, fans, and everybody that's followed you on this journey and that are looking forward to what's next. I want to give you the final word before we wrap things up here.
Yeah, my friends, my family, my teammates, my buddy James Ford, he ragdolled me around for 3 months to help me get ready for this. So I'm sorry I didn't get to stuff any takedowns or get one of my own. But and Bruce Whitehead, man, he's a 3-0 pro now. He just won for had a fight in Fury yesterday. He is he's gonna be in the UFC, man. Kid is so good. He's like 25, black belt in jiu-jitsu, amazing striking, and yeah, he's prying for a fight with Cody Steele, and I hope he gets it, and I know he's gonna win. So yeah, and then I have my management, Iridium, man, they're best management in the game. The amount, this opportunity they gave me, I'm just I'll be eternally grateful for them.
Absolutely, man. Well, Zach, this is the second time that we talked, and I'm sure this is going to be the second of many, many times in the future, man. And it's always great to chat with you, pick your brain, and congrats again on this opportunity. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for having me on, Curtis. I appreciate it, bro.